Hello all, this is Jeff Boots with Boots Flipped, and today we're going to get into Article 110 of the National Electric Code. Article 110 covers requirements for electrical installations. In this article, we're going to find how to know if what we install is acceptable by the code, how wire gauges are expressed in this code book, what to do with unused openings in a box, which column to use in Table 310b16 and why, how much room do we need to allow around our electrical equipment, how much light do we need to put near a panel, and many other items. So let's get started. Article 110.2 tells us that the conductors and equipment required by this code shall be acceptable only if approved. So what is approved? If we look in Article 100 definitions for approved, we will find that something is considered approved if it's acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction, which in most cases will be your inspector. Yes, Article 110.3b tells us that listed or labeled equipment shall be installed and used in accordance with any instructions included in the listing or labeling. The instruction in the listing or labeling will be part of the manufacturer's installation instructions. So guys, I'm talking to you. Read the instructions. Article 110.6 tells us that the conductor sizes are expressed in AWG, or American wire gauge, and in circular mills. A number 4 would be an example of AWG, or American wire gauge. A number 500 kc mill would be in circular mills, and you may hear an old-timer use MCM, which means 1,000 circular mills. You have to use receptacles marked with WR because Article 110.11 states that unless it is identified for use in the operating environment, no equipment shall be located in damp or wet locations. A normal receptacle is not rated to be in a wet location. So, you must use a receptacle marked WR. I would say get another handy box. If that isn't possible at the time, the only other thing you can do is follow Article 110.12a. According to this article, you must close them. How do you do that? Put in a knockout filler. The answer to this question is quite long, and if you look in Article 110.14c, it deals with temperature limitations. I found it hard to believe that this obscure article would have so much power over what size wire we have to use, but it does. If we look in 110.14c1a, you will find that conductors for circuits rated 100 amps or less, or marked for number 14 to number 1 conductors, must be rated at no more than 60 degrees Celsius. This don't mean that I have to use the insulation types in the 60 degree column. It only means that I cannot rate the conductor at more than the ampacity in the 60 degree column. The main reason for this is that the lugs for most devices that are rated 100 amps or less only have terminals rated for 60 degrees Celsius. When you look farther on in this article, 110.14c1b explains that conductors rated for terminations over 100 amps or larger than number 1 must be rated at no more ampacity than is shown in the 75 degrees Celsius column in Table 310.15b16. You can use the 90 degree column to figure derating of the conductors as long as you don't install them on an overcurrent device that is larger than the ampacity allowed in the 75-degree column. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. If I was connecting a 50 amp double oven in a dwelling unit, what size wire would I need? If you know anything about Romex, you would know that the conductors inside the sheathing are THHN. We find THHN in the 90-degree column. If I look in the 90-degree column, I find that I would need number 8s. But wait, didn't we just talk about this? If I have a circuit that is rated 100 amps or less, I will need to use the 60-degree column no matter what my insulation type. If I look at the 60-degree column, I find that I will need a number 6. So let's say I was connecting a 125 amp subpanel in the garage off of the main service. What size wire would I need then? Now I am over 100 amps, so I would look at the 75-degree table, and it would tell me that I need a number 1, which is good for 130 amps. I am using 90-degree rated wire, but according to Article 110.14c(1)b, I still have to use the 75 degrees Celsius column. Well, my first answer is always, would a refrigerator fit in front of it? If not, then you don't have enough room. The code response would be found in Article 110.26a, working space. For the depth of the working space, we have to look at Table 110.26a1. It has 3 conditions. First, we have to know our voltage to ground. In a dwelling unit, your voltage to ground is 120. It's 240 volts phase to phase, but look at the heading for the column. It is asking to ground, not phase to phase. Now that we are clear about that, you can see that in all 3 conditions, the depth of the working space is 3 feet. Well, what about width of working space? That's addressed in Article 110.26a2. And it states that the width must be at least 30 inches or the width of the equipment, whichever is greater. Not only does it state that, but the door of the equipment must also be able to be opened at least 90 degrees. The code is very gray in this area. According to Article 110.26d, it just says that illumination must be provided. That's it. There are quite a few codes that we follow for every installation, and we find them here in this article. Make sure that you take notes, and if not, rewind and play again. Remember, this is a video, and you can watch it as many times as you need to until you understand. I'll see you in class, and as always, be safe.